I am a dermatologist by training. Anybody know what a dermatologist is?
Skin doctor.
Yes, skin, hair, and or nails. Yeah, I think one of the best fields there is. But I am also the physician-in-chief here in the Central Valley. And what that means is that I'm in charge of the medical operations here that Kaiser Permanente Medical Care Program represents. We have some 420 doctors of all different specialties. We have 2 hospitals, this brand new hospital here, the first hospital that came to Stanislaus County in the last 40 years. We also have a Kaiser hospital in Manteca, and there'll be many surprises for you in the future as we look to make sure that we can take care of all of our members here in the Central Valley. I am actually an East Coast guy. I was born and raised in New Jersey. I went to Howard University as an undergraduate. I went back to New Jersey to go attend medical school for 4 years. And then when I went on to do a residency program in dermatology at Cornell University in New York City. I was in private practice, as you might know it, for about 10 years before one day I left and came to Kaiser Permanente. And I've now been with the Kaiser Permanente Medical Care Program for the last 20 years. Probably one of the areas that I want to speak to you about, and I really want to leave room for questions, but there is a theme that I would like to leave you with. And that theme would be, what gets you here may not get you there. What gets you here may not get you there. What am I trying to say? Number one, you all are already high-performing, motivated students. So you've achieved a level of success. That is extremely important. But you still have to look forward to that which you want to do and accomplish. Why? Because the world is very different than what it used to be. Not only in healthcare, I can't imagine that some of you who might be physicians 10 and 15 years from now, medicine will probably be very, very, very different, because I can tell you, being in medicine now almost 32 years, it is very, 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 very different than when I started 30 years ago. Technology that all of you are so used to is really changing the face of medicine in so many ways. So why am I still saying what got you here won't get you there? A little bit of my background. Born and raised in New Jersey, but my father was from North Carolina. So what he used to do with me and my sister was to send us back from New Jersey to North Carolina during the summers. And my grandmother was a sharecropper. They worked on a farm. So I am old enough, I might look young, that I picked cotton, tobacco, tomatoes, cucumbers. So why am I saying that? Because we're in an agricultural community. And maybe for some of you, some of your mothers or fathers or grandparents, or maybe even some of you during the summers, have done some of that work. As I look back on my early years, who would have thought? I certainly did not think that perhaps I would be where I am today. But I did have a dream. I did have a notion, an idea, and certainly by seeing what my cousins who grew up on the farm had to do, I knew that's not what I wanted to do. But I really want to simply motivate and inspire all of you to dream. You will never succeed if you don't have a dream about what it is you want to do. We have another person in our community who dreamt extremely large. He dreamt about the stars and the moon and what it would be like to orbit this earth. You know who I'm talking about? Right? One of our astronauts from our community, Mr. Hernandez, I think he came out of McNair High or one of the local high schools here in our area as an astronaut. So there is much that you can accomplish. And just because like my background may not have been very pretty, it doesn't mean it can limit you. The only thing that will limit you is you. The only thing today, in today's world, that will limit you is if you don't achieve. Because you cannot hang out, go to all the parties, do all the things that perhaps some of your friends do generally, and still get the grades that you will need to move on to the next level. Why? Because as you look around, you see your peers. But there are 100 other decision medical programs throughout the country. There are 100 other programs where students like you, who have been shown to have the aptitude and attitude and want to achieve, are being prepped. But this is only one stage, because now as you move to the next level, college, now you're going to again come among students like yourselves who have achieved, who you will be in competition with. Because as we all know, today is very different. And there are only so many medical school openings. There are only so many law school openings. There are only so many engineer openings. And so I want to motivate you to achieve that. It all starts first with getting those grades. That becomes the key that unlocks the door. When I was in North Carolina, and as I used to spend time in my uncle's and my grandmother's house, and the house had a tin roof, and it was up on 4 blocks, and you could see the chickens running underneath the house, I never would have thought and never would have dreamed that I'd be here today, except I dared to dream. I can remember very well my 7th grade biology student, Mr. Wallace. And when I went into that room and we first opened up that biology book and began to learn about the amoeba and the paramecium, and I was so thrilled with this microorganism and how it can grow and divide, that I always knew I would do something in biology, something in the healthcare field. So you have to dare to dream in order to succeed, but you have to achieve in order to put yourself in position to fulfill those dreams. And that's what we know. You can do it because you're already here. But this simply is the start for what you will do in the future. So what got you here may not get you there if you don't continue the kind of rigorous work ethic, studying, and applying yourself to the work that have made you high school all-stars. And my expectation, and as I look around the room and I can look in your face, is that I know you will. So what I'd like to do, perhaps for just a couple minutes, any questions, any thoughts?